Some events are just so massive, so absolutely terrifying, that numbers and facts can't really capture the true horror. And that's where art comes in. Today, we're going to dive into a really powerful poem by Lily Usher that does just that. It gives a human face to the monstrous power of a tsunami, using some incredible metaphors.
Right from the get-go, the poem throws out the language of science. Instead, we're hit with this simple, terrifying image, a giant hand reaching out from the ocean. This isn't just some random natural event. The poem is telling us this feels deliberate, almost personal.
And this idea of the wave as a conscious being, well, that's the first key to unlocking the poem's power. By giving it human-like qualities, the poet turns a destructive it into a terrifying who.
The detail here is what's so chilling. It's not just a wall of water. It has fingers of foam. And what are fingers for? Grasping, feeling, taking. This language makes it feel like the wave isn't just washing over the land. It's actively and kind of meticulously uprooting and smashing everything. And then the metaphor gets even more intense. From open fingers, that hand clenches into a fist. A fist means intention, right? It means anger and focused violence. The wave isn't just grabbing anymore. Now it's punching. It's aiming.
So this technique, giving the wave a hand and fingers and a fist, it's called personification. And it's so effective because it taps into a really deep human need to find some kind of intention behind pure chaos. By turning this impersonal force of nature into a villain, the poem makes the disaster feel personal, targeted, and just way, way more terrifying.
But where does a monster like this even come from? Well, the poem takes us back to the origin story of this creature, showing us the immense power that was building up, unseen beneath the surface.
The poem paints this picture of a terrifying buildup. The wave is born in the belly of the ocean, and it's fed by the raw power of shifting plates. It doesn't just grow in size, it grows in fury, in power. This whole thing creates this sense of inevitable doom, like an anger that just has to be unleashed.
And here's the absolute heart-wrenching part of the tragedy. While this monstrous anger is building out at sea, life on land is just normal. People have no idea. This contrast between the gathering fury and the peaceful, everyday routine is exactly what makes the impact so unbelievably devastating.
So now, we get to the cataclysm itself. All of that built-up tension, all that fury is finally let loose on the shore.
I mean, the contrast is just brutal. One moment, you have the sounds of work and kids playing. The next, it's total devastation. The poem just perfectly captures the terrifying speed of it all, how reality can be completely shattered in an instant.
As the wave hits land, the metaphor shifts again. It's not a hand anymore. Now, it's a huge wall of white horses galloping ashore. This image gives you this sense of unstoppable momentum, this wild, untamable power. It's like a stampede from nature itself that you just can't reason with or stop. Then the poem just floods your senses with the sounds of destruction. But look at that last line. The damage isn't just physical, it's emotional, it's psychological. This isn't just a disaster you watch, it's a trauma that seeps into your very being.
And finally, the poem gives us its last and maybe its most savage metaphor, a hungry hound. The image is so primal, so vicious. A hound kills on instinct, without reason. And the poem doesn't shy away from the horrific results of that instinct.
So after all that destruction, what's left? The final part of the poem is a reflection on the aftermath and what it really means to understand a word that, for most of us, is just a word we see in the news. This line brings us back to that fist, but now its power is spelled out for us. It's not just a punch, it's a punch with the force of an entire army. This conveys a kind of organized, overwhelming power that no person, no community could ever hope to stand up against. So, what is a tsunami? Well, according to this poem, it's not the definition you learn in a science textbook. It's a name you give to an unimaginable horror after you've lived through it. The word itself becomes a container for all the pain, the loss, and the terror of the event. This final line really drives the whole point home. True understanding isn't about knowing facts, it's about experience. For the survivors, the word tsunami is changed forever. It's not just a word anymore. It's a memory, a scar. It's a profound and terrible knowledge that was burned into them by that great hand from the sea.
And this leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? When we're faced with events that are almost impossible to explain, a poem like this doesn't just describe what happened, it translates the chaos into a metaphor, giving us a way to feel and maybe, just maybe, begin to understand the incomprehensible.